This is what if Deku was in the Cabal. Alright. Deku has just been born. Inkle is happy that it's a boy. And every time they skip to when he's 4 years old and he goes to the quirk doctors. And he's pronounced quirkless. Now, there is gonna be... Alright. And Hasashi's still around. And once the doctor tells Inkle that Izuku is quirkless, she is smiling outside, but internally she is furious. And once she gets home from the doctors, and she tells Hasashi that Deku is quirkless. They are both pissed. Yes, Inko is gonna be a very abusive mother. And the life that Deku will have is gonna be very, very hard. When Deku is at age 5, yes, we're skipping to another year. Deku is basically been abused. He gets bullied because everyone found out that he's quirkless. But really, Izuku is really smart and strong. But he wishes that he can leave and go somewhere else. And the Cabal, let's say this, the Cabal, a Imperial landing tank from the Cabal Empire that has a Valus to Arc on it. The commander of the Siege Dancers and the Sand Eaters. And the Siege Dancers and the Sand Eaters. And they crash after having a battle with the Hive, with orcs, the Taken King, around Saturn. And I know I'm bending this in Destiny lore, that technically Valus to Arc is dead already, but I'm bending time. So instead of Zavala and the Guardians that are supposed to kill Valus to Arc, they kill they kill one of the Shield brothers. And Valus to Arc is in the woods where the Quirk Beasts are. And Valus to Arc, compared to an average human, is basically, 9 feet tall. And they keep on growing too, so. Then and Valus to Arc is very wounded. And he is he only has half the forces with him because the other half have been taken on. Have been taken from the rings of Saturn when they were fighting the Taken King orcs. And the only reason why the Cabal are here basically because there was a wormhole that the Hive and Cabal were fighting at Saturn, and a wormhole appeared and took Volstar Ark's Imperial landing tank and his cruiser that he has with him, which are basically the same size as Gaul's cruiser that he has, that just supplies the landing tank. And he sees a wandering boy in the forest because Izuku at this point has been abandoned and kicked out of the house and left to fend for himself. And Volstar Ark sees that this kid is alone, surviving in the woods by himself. And how usually this is for the Cabal, that is, the weak die and the strong live. The stronger you are, the longer you live. And Volstar Ark sees Deku, and he is half tempting to shoot him because the Cabal and the Guardian and humanity from their dimension, yes, they came from another dimension where the Guardians and Earth and all that stuff from the Guardian universe, Destiny universe, is separate. And there's no Emperor Callus. Emperor Callus is stuck, or he is on the Leviathan still. And the Red Legion are still attacking the tower in the last safe city, but we'll pass that later. Yeah, so he decided to just not shoot Deku and take Deku under his wing. And there were a few Cabal scientists there with that survived the crash landing from the Imperial landing tank. From the Imperial landing tank. And Deku sees that they are not human and asks, "What are they?" And Volstar Ark says, "My name is Volstar Ark. I am the commander of the siege dancers and the sand eaters of the Cabal legions. And I am also classified as Colossal class." And right now, he is the only leadership that they have for the Cabal. And Deku is intrigued about this Cabal. And Deku is smart. He knows that if he follows this alien, he can help him train and be stronger. Deku will be a emperor, let's put it that way. And there will be no shipping. Well, actually, yes, there will be a ship, but we'll get to that sooner or later. And no, it is not a human. it is someone from the cabal. And honestly, it is gonna be a scion. I know you guys are gonna fucking hate me for it, but chill the fuck out. Scions are legit. And they're probably one of the strongest and underutilized ones. And Deku is being trained by Falls to Arc. And it takes about 10 months of training each year for him to rank up in his status. Right now he is basically a scribe. He is making sure he learns the basics. He is about the age of 6. And then we skip to 10 years old, where he is where he can also let the cabal eject their genes into Izuku, or Deku in this case, however we young guys gonna call him. And they also added a little bit of Scion genes with it. So right now Deku is starting as a Scion. And Deku will get bigger because of the cabal gene. Because as the older they get, the much bigger they get. And majority of them live quite a while. I think it's at least maybe 200 years. But yeah. Now, because of that, Deku has his aging process make him younger still. So he is fit, because the training that Volstar Arc puts Deku through is living hell. He trains with Scions and the occasional phalanxes that are guarding the ship. Deku gets along with the Scions very well. Like, he knows almost every single Scion there at the Imperial landing tank. And no one knows where everyone that on the planet saw a meteor just hit somewhere in Japan about 3 months ago. No, excuse me. About 7 years ago. Not 7 years ago, but 6 years ago. No, 4 years ago. That's right, 4 years ago. And they have been looking for this meteor. And the Imperial landing tank is cloaked, to say the least. And no one can find it. And the combined effort that Deku and the Scion are teaching him about the Cabal vehicles and weapons, he is basically becoming the equivalent of when he reaches the age of 15, he is already basically a quartermaster, basically. And he is now he has the Legionnaire armor set that the Cabal have, but fitted for human size. and he trains with a few Praetorians that guard Volstar Arc. And the Praetorians are basically like uncles to Izuku, and teach him in mathematics, science, reading, the cabal history, and show him the weaponry again. Oh, a new type of weaponry and shielding. And once they're done with that, they also train Deku in hand-to-hand combat with the spear and shield that is basically made out of the plating of the landing castle. That's what is basically the shields are made out of for the Cabal. The same material that the ships are made out of. And within this part, Deku is heading to UA, and because UA, no, not UA, but Deku has been given his first mission to his first mission by Volstar Arc to infiltrate the Hero Society, join their ranks, and find out any useful information that could lead to the survival of the Cabal. And Deku is honored by this because Volstar Arc is more of a father figure than anyone else. He's been there for him. He's more of a father figure than more of a parental figure than anything else that Inko or Sashi has done for Deku. And Deku keeps his first name Izuku, but changes his last name to Arc. And he keeps his first name as changes his last name to Midoriya, and his middle name Valis to Arc. And his new parental figure's full name is now his middle name and last name. And he's old enough, and this is where technically UA is a high school still, so not a college like some people do, but yeah. And before Deku goes, the Scions prepare him a special gift. It is a cloning machine that needs to drop up his DNA, and it makes 3 of him. It makes 3 copies of him, and then disappears. But also, he does have a transmat that if he deploys, he can also summon Cabal forces for him. But that's only in dire straits. And Deku is becoming bigger and bigger. So he's at the basic size weight of a Colossus, but buff and not fat like no more Colossus are. Well, technically not fat, they're full of muscle, but a colossal armor for humans to wear. And he has been given a heavy slugger. And a heavy slugger is basically a mini missile that it's a minigun that shoots mini missiles. Think of a bolter, but from Warhammer, but better in every way. And Deku gets the Colossus armor, but it is green and black and gold, where the helmet is just green and black, and the rest it has a feathered back part that basically describes him as a Colossus. Even though that part is technically for the captains, but the Colossus are above the captains. But Izuku still kept his captain part from his old armor set and embedded it into his Colossus armor. And his Colossus armor can appear onto him at any time he wants, including his weapon. He just has it as a wrist because it's a new technology that the cabal are trying to use in disguising themselves and their weapons. And when Deku gets to UA, he's not going to trip because he is battle ready and very smart, so he's not going to fall. On the other hand, Uraka does. And Deku still has a kind of soft spot still for humanity. Picks up Uraka, and Uraka says thank you. And Deku walks off, and behind that, Ida sees them, and Deku just runs or walks away. And from Ida's perspective, it didn't look like he said thank you to Uraka, not Uraka, but thank you. He didn't say you're welcome to Uraka. And Ida is a prick still, in my opinion. Even though he still got bodied by Stain. But yes, Deku enters, and everyone thought Deku is dead because he disappeared, and Bakugo is kind of upset that he didn't see them, that Deku's gone, because not Deku, but Bakugo kind of is still an asshole and really just missed bullying Deku, because that's what he got enjoyment of basically bullying quirkless people. And they take the reading exam first, and then during that, Deku is very smart. Deku corrects majority of the answers that Nezu did, and Nezu was surprised that he basically just fixed all the questions around and gave him the right answers to said questions, and then leaves, waiting about an hour for the rest of them to get done. And now for the practical exam. As Ida is trying to catch up to Deku, and just tell him to say you're welcome to that lady, or to the girl that he picked up. And Ida and Deku's like, buzz off. Not need to see you. And Ida is angry, and he is about to punch Deku until Deku just grabs Ida's fist and holds it in place and tells Ida that was a stupid idea to do. Do not try it again. And Ida is stunned with fear, as you can see hatred in Deku's eyes. And once that happens, Deku is looking, and not looking, but Mike is basically says 3, 2, and Deku bolts and smashing the gate, or the door, wide open. And Ida said he's cheating, and Mike said there's no countdown when villains are attacked, and you better follow that, kid. And President Mike is astonished by the strength of Izuku, and right now Deku has about 40 points. And during this, Deku is basically taking 1-pointer, 3-pointers, and 2-pointers down by a minute, and it's usually 3 to 4 3-pointers, 4-pointers. No, 3-pointers, 2-pointers, and 1-pointers. And Deku's rounding up points left and right. He's at now 56 points right now, and climbing up slowly but surely. And Deku gets hit by one of the 3-pointers, and it gets a little, and Deku gets pissed because it hurts, and he decides to transform into his colossal armor. And this intrigues Aizawa and got my head. Aizawa and all the rest of the heroes. And Nezu is looking at this too. And Nezu never seen this before. And Deku is tearing the pointers left and right until Nezu pushes a red button that releases a 0-pointer. Everyone starts running. Deku hears screaming, and Deku remembers Valos' remembers to Ark's training, and says, "Let the weak die, or you can make an ally out of it." And Deku gets Rocket out, and then throws Rocket towards Ida and says, "Catch." And during this, and then the 0-pointer stomps on Deku, and Deku is holding one of the legs up with all 4 of his limbs, with his hands and his legs, and pushes up where the 0-pointer loses balance, and Deku switches to a Scion form and shoots purple flames that just melt the Zero Pointer's legs. And then he stops, and then he turns back into his Colossus form. But when the Zero Pointer begins to fire a laser beam at Deku, he switches to a Phalanx form and protects him with his shield. And Aizawa is looking at this like, this kid looks like he knows what he's doing, and he seems like he's been trained by military. And All Might's like, that's not possible. There's no military that trains like that. He's always like, yes, there is. The Romans, that's their tactics. When there's an enemy firing, they pull their shields up to protect them. Not unlike modern days where you have body plates to protect us. But, getting to the point. He basically looks like an oversized far technological improvements from any Roman technology, basically. And Deku, once he gets back into his Colossus form, he does an AoE attack, a Cabal Stomp, only that the Colossus use to stun enemies. But in this case, it more or less makes a mini earthquake, which shakes the ground, and the Zero Pointer falls through, leaving the head just looking at Deku, and Deku just unloads all of his heavy slugger at him at the Zero Pointer. And Deku brings some part of the Zero Pointer into a tube and collects it. And then he retracts his suit. And instead of it going to the mail or anywhere, the person who got the most points is Izuku. And the person who got the most points is basically announced. And everyone is asking, who is this kid? And Izuku says, my name is Izuku, Valus to Arc, at your service. And then proceeds to leave. And Deku leaves, and all I see is him leaving, and then slowly cloaking up, and Aizawa's like, oh shit, he's leaving, he's disappearing now, oh damn, I have to find that kid later. And he, after cloaking, he teleports, because the Cabal have Vex Tech, and the Vex Tech is amazing stuff, even though it's very bad at the same time. And once he does that, he brings Volustar pieces of the Zero Pointer and tells Volustar, I have gained the hero's trust, and I have made it into the UA school. Volustar is pleased with the news. And Volustar has been making more repairs to the landing tank, and the forest that they are hiding in, it belongs to the Wild Wild Pussycats. and one of them sees that there's something in the woods moving. It doesn't look like to be any animal that they know. And it's all red and scaly and has a metal plated jaw as armor. And it is walking on all fours, taking out any local life that it sees, and then proceeds eating it. And then it looks at one of the wild pussycats and alerts that it's been spotted and has found something. And with that, the cabal had set cameras and alarm systems everywhere near the perimeter, and a 50 10-mile radius of the Imperial landing tank. And she is hiding. She decides to kill, or to not kill, but incapacitate the war beast. That's what it's called in Destiny. But and she hides, and a cabal legionnaire and its captain locate the war beast and is incapacitated. And during that, they hear rustle in the trees, and they want to know what's in the trees. So they switch their weapons to a stun version and shoot up into the trees, where it seeks its target and explodes, which sets a little miniature net that electrocutes people or anything that gets in its little webbing nets. And they capture one of the wild pussycats, and the others haven't heard anything from their other teammate. And last time they checked, her coordinates are near, or if you say the meteor hit or the asteroid hit. And she goes along with her other friend to go look for their missing teammate. And back at the Imperial landing tank, the Cabal are mobilizing. They are on red alert, and Volstar summons all forces to come back. And the Cabal are seriously not trying to be found out. And Volstar wants the thing that's been captured to be brought to him immediately. And they set up a perimeter again. And the other two wild pussycats are looking on a cliffside and seeing their friend being taken into a ship and being pushed by two Praetorians that are phalanx. Yes, even phalanxes and legionnaires become Praetorians. And they are very good at what their positions are for. But they are both phalanx Praetorians. And they are armed with slug rifles. And they put it onto their hips and start pushing the other wild pussycat into the ship and into a holding cell. But they're not dumb. They take all the communication devices that she has, and then third answer, she doesn't drop all communication devices, she will be shot. And then fed to the war beasts. And she just says, alright, I'll listen. And Vala Stark is anxious because Midoriya hasn't, or Izuku hasn't responded yet. And that's when Izuku just teleports back. He said, I'm back. I got everything else what I need. And before even they got captured, that other Wow Pussycat's teammate got captured, she sent out a distress signal, which caught the attention of the Japanese military, which the heroes cannot interfere with military procedures. And a Japanese self-defense force helicopter is going over the forest and sees lights on the ground, people moving, and what looks like to be a tank coming out from some type of ship. And there's nothing like they ever seen before. And he's been giving permission, if you see a threat, you shoot it, which is a huge mistake. A cabal are torn people. They live and were born in the war, in wars, and were born for battle. So as soon as they fired a missile from around the Japanese self-defense forces and hits the Imperial landing tank, they are on high alert. And they see the helicopter and turn their anti-air forces or anti-air systems online and shoots down the helicopter. The pilot survives and lands into a little body lake that is literally right next to the ship. And Vala Stark says, capture him. Bring him here. Interrogate him. Bring him to me so I can interrogate him. And the Cabal brings some diving gear out and go swimming to get the two pilots out. And the other people that are in the water are dead because of the impact. And few anti-material rounds went through and shot and killed a bunch of people inside the helicopter. And just the two pilots survived. Both of them being separated as one is brought into the open rocky field, or on the shore. And a Cabal brings out a slug pistol and shoots him in the back of the head, killing him on the spot. And Vala Stark changed his mind and said he only needs one. And he says, take care of the body. So they proceed to bury the body. And two other Praetorians take the other captured pilot and brings him into the same holding cell where the Wow Pussycat's other teammates being held. And on my eyes, and was being held, and then there is a crack of explosions that hit the ground, and gunshots in the air, that ring in the air, and the cabal have just been found out, and now they are in a fight or flight, and they are in a fight mode, where every shot they take loads into their war system that they have, and showing the effective place where to shoot everyone at. And then it's just at the chest, because their armor plating, the armor plates that the Japanese self-defense force has is nothing compared with the armor that the cabal have. It is 50 times as stronger and durable. And the cabal are also trying to figure out how to make more ammo too, so they are also skilled in hand-to-hand combat with knives and in their fists. So if a ball runs out of ammo, they just pull out their knife and start stabbing the Japanese self-defense forces. And then a few jets begin to come down from the air, ready to do doing a bombing run. And then the anti-air systems come back on and destroy all the jets. And in the vicinity of the cabal landing tank. Then the Japanese ground self-defense forces that are still left have been captured, either for interrogation or as entertainment, or as prisoners. And the ones that do the majority of the interrogation are scions. The scions are extremely well at getting information from other races and other things. And with this, the cabal have lived to fight another day. And the cabal have no idea if the heroes know where they are. And then, as the army pulls out, the heroes give it a shot. Endeavor's there, All Might's there, Aizawa's there, and Mount Lady's there. The cabal see Mount Lady and kind of lose focus for a second, because how tall a person is, how tall a woman is. And while they are looking at Mount Lady, very weirdly, Miracle comes in kicking a Praetorian in the stomach, sending him flying and hitting a tree, which proceeds the Praetorian to get right back up and rushes at Miracle and grabs her by the face and just slams her back of her head into the little sand shore that the lake is. And proceeds to basically destroy miracles. Not killing her, just beating her downright with nearly an inch of her life still, and just drag her almost lifeless body. She's still alive, but she's been dragged into the Cabal ship. And Mount Lady's still is still fighting them. And Sion attacks her mind, and then shrinks her down back to regular human form, where a Cabal named Brockus comes and just headbutts her, knocking her out and adding another hero being captured. Endeavor puts up more of a fight, and the Cabal see it as more challenging and exciting, seeing that, as none of them had ever challenged anything, haven't challenged anything that's been a good, worthy fight in a while. And Endeavor kills two Cabal Legionnaires, two Cabal Phalanxes, and kills two Colossus, and nearly killed a Praetorian. And during this, Deku sees Endeavor, and Endeavor recognizes the kid from earlier from the entry exam. Says, "I know you, you're that kid. Wait, what are you doing here?" As Izuku transforms into his Cabal Colossus armor form and beats Endeavor into submission and drags him into the ship, and has the two Scions at all times just messing with Endeavor's mind and torturing him, or preventing him from using his quirk. And then Deku finds out that, not Deku, but Izuku has now, Deku doesn't need to reach Praetorian rank. Right now, all the Arc needs is a new lieutenant, a second in command, in which Deku becomes Valis Izuku. And then he is honored to serve by his father figure's side. And the other heroes have been looking for all the other heroes, except for the Wild Pussycats. Other two Wild Pussycats. I found where they are. I found where the Cabal ship is, and are trying to figure a way to get inside until they hear a gun sound activating, or a weapon activating, and there are 4 Scions that have a slug snipers pointing at him and gestures to them to get up and walk, adding a full set of a full team captured. Aizawa was able to manage to escape. And Izuku teleports to an apartment. And once he does, he goes to the apartment where his family used to live with his mom and dad. And he opens the door, and Inko's there. And Inko's like, "Why the hell are you here?" And Izuku has a slug rifle, and all you can hear is the sound of a gunfire ring in the air. And Izuku has killed his mother and goes into the other room where Hasashi has a shotgun and shoots Deku in the chest. That wounds him just a bit. And then he gets back up in anger, where he proceeds to break Hasashi's legs. And then breaks the bones where he shows out of his arms, and then breaks Hasashi's neck, leaving his lifeless corpse there on the floor. And once that's going on, Deku leaves, and then there's cop quarters. And then later that next day, the heroes of the cops tell the news, and news reporters come in when the news plays and says that a husband and wife have been found dead. The wife had been shot in the chest, and as for the husband, his limbs were broken and his head has been snapped. And the hero agency or Endeavor has made is asking, where's Endeavor at? As they are aware where he is and looking for him, and tell the news that Endeavor is missing, nowhere to be seen. The number 2 hero is gone. Where is he? And that's where I'm going to leave it off for part 1. If Deku was in the Cabal.